November 9, Echo Alpha Whiskey.
November 9. What was the rest?
Echo Alpha Whiskey.
Echo Alpha Whiskey. Roger, what's the name there, please?
Tom Tango Oscar Mike.
Roger, Tom, and whereabouts are you located, sir?
I'm located just west of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about 10 miles west of Milwaukee.
Roger, and what radio are you running today?
I'm running the FTDX-3000 Yaesu, and I'm running a doublet, 94-foot doublet, fed with 450 ohm window line up about 60 feet, pointed east-west, and the microphone is a Behringer XM8500.
Roger that. Well, the thing to do is, a normal set of procedure is to engage our compressor at a 3. About a third of its capability is 30 out of 100, 3 out of 10. Roger, that's where we start.
Yep, we got her there. In fact, I made sure it was set there before I called you.
Excellent. And your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3, Roger?
I'm going to check that again. It's a little bit, I would say right around the 2/3 to 3/4 mark.
Excellent. And then come the EQ. I would prefer just a little bit to start with, just a little bit more on the top end for some a little bit more articulation. What kind of EQ do you have, sir?
Well, here's the thing. I've done extensive testing of the EQ system with this microphone. I'm convinced the microphone just doesn't have a lot of highs to offer. It's a 3-band parametric, and I think I've got it about as boosted on the top end for the real articulation right around 2800 to 3K as I can get it. The level set at a 10, and the bandwidth is set at a 1, and it's running right around the 3K mark. Jim, go ahead.
Roger, so you're running a full boost on the top end with a 1, and that would be the narrowest parametric setting?
Roger.
Just out of curiosity, and if it would be easy for you, and what was the frequency, center frequency?
I think it's 3,000. 3K.
Roger. If you would be up for a little experiment, if you were to drop that at about 29 and broaden it up to the next widest capability there, I guess that would be a 2, just to see what we do as far as getting a little more top going there.
Yep, got the menu in front of me and just made the change. 2900, level 10, and a bandwidth of 2. How does that sound? Over.
Sounds good. Now, you are running 100 to 2900 bandpass?
I think this radio runs 100 to 3000.
Roger that. Okay, and tell me about your antenna system.
Okay. It's if you've seen the designs for what's called a ZS6BKW, a modified G5RV antenna, that's kind of what this is. G5RV antenna, that's kind of what this is. The specs on that antenna kind of dictate that you slice off a 75-foot piece of coax and add 50 to 75-foot piece of coax connected directly to that feed line. The reason being the transformation of the feed point impedance on the bands of choice 10, 20, 40 meters, I think even 12 and 17 are pretty close, is right around 50 to 70 ohms. So that's the original specification calling for that. But you can also feed it with more ladder line and run it right to a link coupled tuner, which is what I'm doing. I've got about 97.5 feet of feed line. I'm running it direct. Go ahead, Jim. 175 watt matchbox. Go ahead, Jim.
Roger, I was just moved over to Milford. You're doing about a 12 over on Milford. And I think probably that gives you just a little more top end by going to that lower frequency where you might have just a tad more frequency content coming out of that microphone. But you're right, that mic is not articulating too well on the upper frequencies. The thing would be to move, probably if you wanted to get more top end, would be to move to a condenser microphone or electret microphone, Roger.
To a condenser microphone or electret microphone, Roger.
Yeah, that's my next plan of attack. I think I'm going to be looking at something else, and I'm trying to kind of weed down the actual selection process, because I'd like to have something for recording in my studio also, make it a dual-purpose situation. So I'm kind of looking at a couple of different things. I've got a condenser, I've got a preamplifier here sitting here, made by a company called Studio Projects, and they also had at one point it's a 12AX7 mono processor. But at one point they also had a matching microphone that seemed to be kind of flat response, and those up and interfacing it to the front of the radio. That's what I'm doing. I'm actually going. I've got an unbalanced to balanced conversion going right through the front microphone jack of the radio. I'm not going through the back of the radio. Jim, over.
Roger that, yeah. And I'm not familiar with that preamp. I use a ART preamp. And this is a homebrew condenser microphone, the ART preamp. I really love it because it has, it's very, very quiet, has a lot of gain, does have a 12AX7 for warming, and has, input-output controls. So I usually am running this one about 10 dB below maximum gain in the front end, and wide open on the back end, and then there's a little more processing that goes on past that at the high level point, and then it comes back and is reduced to a lower level going into the radio. And I have found interesting way to get into the mic level is I call it the double bridge circuit. I bridge out of the high level at 10K, and I bridge in to the mic input at 10K, and then I use a shunt resistor from where the two 10Ks come together to ground to work out my input level control. So I want that input mic pot to be somewhere around 1030, right in that area. So I'll just find the resistor that gives me that audio level. And so what happens is, regardless of what the resistance of the resistor between the two 10Ks, I will always show a 10K load on the incoming and a 10K load on the high level. Roger.
Well, you can't get any more balanced and matched than that, can you? That's a fantastic way of doing things, Jim. I also wonder, do you think, other than the slight lack of top end that you're seeing or hearing there, whether you're actually looking at the rest of the signal as being somewhat balanced? Does it seem to be okay otherwise? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm on my 7300 right now. And I have a spectrum analyzer tied to the output of my mix board. Mix board's really flat, so that spectrum analyzer is seeing the real deal there. And when you go to YouTube and check out our video, which is named My Group Aircheck 2720, you'll see our spectrum analyzer back there, and it has three white stripes on it, and the furthest stripe to the left denotes 100 cycles. And then as you start going off to the right-hand side, the first mark on the right-hand side is 1 KC, and then there's a black area, which is 2 KC, and the next white furthest to the right is 4 KC. So you can see your actual audio and see what's going on. And I have to tell you, the 7300 is really flat. That radio coming out, into the real world is very, very flat down to past 100 cycles. And if you ever really wanted to do yourself a favor, if you engaged in getting an outboard speaker system, I really like a two-way with a subwoofer. And then the idea is you have to calibrate that subwoofer very carefully, but with the subwoofer in there, you're good down to probably 50 cycles or so as far as hearing. And it's just amazing, the technical quality that this 7300 is capable of, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I'm also looking at my compression meter, and it's telling me I'm only running dB of compression. So do you think it would benefit me at all to add a little bit more? Go ahead.
No, I don't, because what you want to do is let that compressor do its thing and not be obvious about it or obtrusive about it. That's the idea about, professional applications for equipment, to be able to set it up where it's very transparent. And that's the thing, if you set it up where you have 20 dB of compression, every time you just take a breath, you'll hear this breath go, ripping through the head as the compressor expands. So the best way to use a compressor is very gently, like about maybe 3 dB, 4 dB compression, because then when it does suck up, it's kind of unobtrusive, as opposed to really sucking up very loudly, and you're hearing the cows in the South 40 and the wife beating the kids and stuff.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, that's about right where I'm at, so I'm going to leave it right where it is. At first, I thought the meter was a little inaccurate because I wasn't seeing much deflection. I connected it to and it seemed to change it a little bit. But now, I've got it at a point now where it's doing just pretty much what you said. I'm peaking right around 5, and my average is probably 2 to 3. So that's great. I'm going to leave that where it is. Okay, Jim. I appreciate all the time you've given today, and wanted to get with you this one time to see how things were shaping up. So I'll hit you 73, let you move on to another taker, and I'll be listening, like I usually do. And I do watch for the YouTube as well, so I know how to get to that, and when I get a chance. KC9, Victor Kilo Victor, from November 9, Echo Alpha Whiskey. Tom, near Milwaukee, 73, and have a good day, Jim.
What's his mic gain set at, Jim?
I'm not sure. Not really important. The idea is that his mic gain brings his ALC to mid-scale to 2/3. So that's the thing. The actual level of the mic gain pot is irrelevant. It's how the that plays into the ALC, and you want the ALC to be running mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Roger, but he sounds like he needs a little more punch to me, Jim. KFYTV, how you doing? You sound good. I like the icon.
Yeah, Roger. Well, he can't get more punch because he's running his ALC at mid-scale to 2/3. And you don't want to exceed the speed limit, otherwise you're headed towards distortion and splatter. Roger?
Well, he's about an F7 on the average, and it sounded like he needed a little more punch. I think I got this one set up pretty good. Sounding all right?
Well, I can't comment right now. I just want to make the point very clear that the ALC is the Bible of your radio. You must observe the operations of your ALC. It will tell you what's going on better than your buddy down the street. It knows what's going on, and it will tell you what's going on, and you should very well listen to your ALC and set it up to where the ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3. It's not a question of whether he needs more or less. It is the proper operation for the radio to run that ALC at mid-scale to 2/3. If he's doing that, that's about what you can expect from that radio. Roger?